Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 10 of Visions of Tomorrow, a review series, as the name pretty obviously suggests, for Gran Turismo's VGT selection. A selection which has been pretty quiet for the past few months. We of course were told about the Hyundai and Bugatti Vision GTs, and more recently a watchmaker has made a proposed Vision GT car. But we still don't have any of these on GT6, and as unfortunate as it is if it is true, I would not be at all surprised if those vehicles were used as an incentive to get people to want to buy GT Sport. I hope that they don't do that, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if they did. Now, that being said, that doesn't affect the car that we're reviewing today. This car is already on the game, it has been for some time, and overall, it's arguably one of the best all-round VGTs we've had so far. Certainly, racing VGTs. It's the Mazda LM55, a hugely popular car. Pretty much everyone has one, pretty much everyone loves it. Some purists may not like using the LM55, and that's understandable. It does have the all-wheel drive system, which makes it a little bit OP and takes away some of the skill needed. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see the reason why you'd want to make yourself a martyr in racing. Fair enough if you prefer rear-wheel drive, but not just because you want to make it harder for yourself. If you can have an advantage and you say no to it, I don't view that as skill. That's unnecessarily making it harder for yourself. If you can have the advantage of all-wheel drive and not use it, that's stupid, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you choose to do that, that's your choice. It's everyone's choice. But that just doesn't make sense to me. This car does have all-wheel drive, and it makes fantastic use of it. Its low-speed exits from corners and in wet weather conditions, control given to the driver is unparalleled. None of the other LMPs or Group Cs even come close to how controllable this car is in lower speed corners, to be honest, regardless of weather conditions. You can pull out of some corners with full throttle and not have any wheel spin in corners where, say, a Sauber C9 or an R89C would just spin out, given the same amount of throttle. But it's not just the cornering. The straight line performance as well on the LM55 actually belies its power. The top speed is around 290 and the acceleration is very strong. Now that may not be surprising given how much power you'd probably think it has. But the reality is, it's not that powerful. It actually has virtually identical specs to the car which it is, in effect, the spiritual successor to, the iconic, Le Mans winning 787B. Now, we're not told the size of the rotary engine that it uses, but we are told, via the livery of the car itself, that it uses Skyactiv technology, and for any who are unfamiliar with that, that is Mazda's newest development of the rotary engine. Mazda, of course, being world leaders in rotary engines, and they claim that they have now refined the rotary engine even more and improved many of its downsides. Not necessarily eliminated them, but improved them, such as the tip wear on the rotors over time, the constant rebuilds of the engine necessary every 60,000 miles, and the excessive fuel economy. Now, if that's the case, and they get that to be in, say, the next generation of RX-7 or RX-8, I'm going to be a huge fan of that, because I already love rotary engines. On the game, though, we only get to experience the performance side of things from a Skyactiv engine, or at least the theoretical performance. And it's pretty impressive performance, to say the least. Now, this car doesn't have any posted power, weight, or torque, or even peak RPM. So we have to find out what we can. What can you find out? Well, it's all-wheel drive, it's naturally aspirated, and it sits at 717 pp when fully tuned. But if you go into your garage and select to compare your cars in two very specific ways, i.e. power and weight, you can actually ascertain exactly how much power and exactly how heavy the LM55 is. Interestingly, it's exactly the same as the 787B. 830 kilos, and with an oil change, 832 horsepower. meaning that not only does it put out just over 1,000 horsepower per tonne, or 1 horsepower per kilo, but it's actually nowhere near as powerful as you'd probably assume it is, and that's after an oil change. Now, if we were able to turbocharge it, you'd easily be putting out the same kind of power as the 787B when tuned, and just imagine how quick this car would be then, given that it's already a 290 mph machine. It's highly unlikely that we'll be able to upgrade this car at any point, even on GT Sport or further, but thankfully even without those upgrades, it's still an incredibly good race car. The price is also fantastic, because although it's technically an LMP, it's a VGT, meaning that the price is, as many VGTs are, 1 million credits. And it has to be said, for 1 million credits, the value for money on this car is very hard to beat. At least in the race car class. It's brilliant. It's cheaper than virtually any other prototype race car in the game, and it can outrun the vast majority of them. It was one of the highest rated cars in my entire Spirit of Le Mans series, and for good reason. It's a formidable machine. The acceleration, top speed, handling, grip, looks, sound, everything is pretty much as good as it can be from this car. Now obviously we can upgrade it even further, as we said, but that's not going to happen at the moment. So for what we're given, it's a pretty much perfect LMP car. Now the all-wheel drive chassis requires slightly different tuning methods to a traditional rear-wheel drive LMP or Group C, but if you set it up correctly, it goes without saying that this car will win races for you, and many people do win races with it. So if by some strange chance you haven't got this car already in your garage, you'll definitely want to check it out, even if you're not necessarily a fan of Le Mans cars. But that's it overall for this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.